I think the prosecutor tried to do the right thing. I think the prosecutor was very, very focused on acting in a transparent way. And at least in the short term, that appears to have backfired.
But responsibility for the grand jury's decision doesn't rest squarely on the shoulders of St. Louis County Prosecutor Bob McCulloch, at least not according to expert Phil Stinson. Stinson is an associate professor of criminal justice with Bowling Green State University, a lawyer and a former police officer. And as he tells us, the chips were stacked against the prosecution.
If there had been probable cause demonstrated in the testimony and physical evidence that was considered by the grand jury in their deliberations, I think they would have returned a true bill. They would have returned an indictment.
According to Stinson, there wasn't, and so they didn't. But even so, Stinson says an indictment might not have made much of a difference.
Without knowing all of the evidence, I'm hard-pressed to say this, but, you know, yeah, it may have been possible to get this to a trial court jury, but based on the evidence the grand jury considered, I think the likely outcome would have definitely been that he would not be convicted.
But despite the physical evidence lining up with statements made by Darren Wilson, Stinson says there may be another reason the Ferguson police officer would more than likely go home free. According to Stinson's own research, in the years between 2005 and 2011, there were 41 cases where officers were charged with gun-related killings. Of those 41, less than half were convicted.
It's real difficult for trial juries, to return a verdict of guilty. They're just very reluctant to do so when an officer's charged with, a violence-related crime that's committed on duty.
But despite history, Stinson says more than likely this isn't the end of the story. He points out it's still a possibility that Darren Wilson could face federal as well as civil charges. In Bowling Green, Nick McGill, NBC 24.